going live now.
Okay, just gonna give everybody a few minutes to roll in. Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Agri-Food Conversations, brought to you by iSelect Fund, the Van Trump Report, the Yield Lab Institute, and Family Farms Group. My name is David Yoakum. I'm an associate here on the iSelect Fund Ventures team, and I'm excited to walk you through today's discussion. Agri-Food Conversations is all about driving innovation in agriculture. Each month, we highlight a specific theme, including emerging topics such as soil health, plant genetics, vertical farming, and aquaculture, to name a few. This month's theme is dairy alternatives, and on today's call, we're joined by Steinhart, co-founder and CEO of Eclipse Foods. Eclipse Foods makes plant-based dairy products that are indistinguishable from animal dairy products. Creamy and rich without compromise, its first product, a dairy-free ice cream base, is also free from common allergens like soy, nuts, wheat, and lactose. Elon will discuss what makes Eclipse different from other plant-based dairy companies, how he and his co-founder aim to transform the food system, and how the dairy industry will actually benefit from the plant-based movement. Each of you knows that companies are more likely to succeed with the right network of customers, talent, investors, and advisors. We've invited you to this call because you're some of the smartest, most talented people in Eclipse Foods market. You are potential customers for Eclipse Foods products and services. You have built or sold a company like Eclipse Foods, or you are a sophisticated business person or agricultural professional who understands the market and the challenges and opportunities that Eclipse may face. Before we get started, we have a quick poll question to get a better idea of who we have on the call today. Please take a few seconds to answer. And in the meantime, a few process comments. First of all, we are not soliciting investment. This presentation is to provide information to help Eclipse Foods find customers, mentors, and other strategic relationships. 1 second. To help the company grow its business. You're all on mute. You can use the chat window to ask a question at any time. This presentation is being recorded and will be available for replay. And so with that, I am pleased to introduce Elon Steinhart, co-founder and CEO of Eclipse Foods. Elon, I'm going to now stop sharing my screen and feel free to go ahead and start sharing yours. Just give me 1 second. There you go. You should be able to now. Perfect. Looks great. Feel free to take it away.
Wonderful. All right. Can everyone see this? Yep. All right. Well, first, I just want to thank David and the iSelect Fund team for having me here. It's honestly such a pleasure to speak to folks who are in the food industry, who really understand what's happening in the food industry and how everything works. And so I'm excited to be here and to present to you what I'm working on, and hopefully to learn a little bit about what everyone else is working on as well through the questions. So I'll give you a quick overview of Eclipse. So we make plant-based dairy products that are indistinguishable from conventional dairy. That's a really big claim, I know, and we'll talk about how we actually know that in just a little bit. But really, what is Eclipse? So Eclipse is what the press calls, we're the beyond meat of dairy. So again, we make plant-based dairy products that are indistinguishable from conventional dairy products, which is really what makes us similar to the Beyond Meats of the world. What Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods have proven is that when you make a product that is similar enough to its animal counterpart, you actually bring in a massive part of the consumer market, right? Not just the vegans, vegetarians, which is a fraction, really small part of the food market, but mainstream consumers. 94% of consumers of Beyond Meat are actually meat eaters, and Eclipse consumers are the same. So the idea is, let's make a product that's creamy and rich without any sacrifice, and then we can bring over consumers that don't always eat plant-based. So a bit of background on me and my co-founder. So I am the co-founder and CEO of Eclipse Foods. I was at the Good Food Institute. It's the leading nonprofit in the alternative protein space. There I spoke at Harvard, Stanford, Berkeley, etc., to encourage entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, the best and brightest minds, to start companies in the plant-based and cell-based space to really help transform our food system. I also advise some of the largest food companies in the world, including Kraft Heinz, Kellogg's, etc. Thomas, my co-founder, he's a chef turned product developer, an absolute food genius. So he's James Beard nominated chef, has chefed or staged at a total of 16 Michelin stars around the globe. That includes the French Laundry, Alinea, Motto, Autumn, so some names you likely know. And then he moved over from that position to become the director of product development at Just, which was formerly Hampton Creek. So he created Just Mayo, the dressings, the cookies, and really has done this before, right? Like, how do we take a product and grow it from lab bench all the way to commercial scale, and do that in a way where the product is indistinguishable from its animal counterparts? So when I got the chance to partner with him, we knew that we could do something really, really big. And that really, really big is to start a company that really exists to fix the food system. Our universal truth is that people want to do good. They want to do the right thing. And when you give people a product that is on par in the taste, the price, and the availability of its animal counterpart, people will default to making the more sustainable, ethical, and healthy choice, right? So we talked about this idea of no sacrifice. Eclipse's mission is to create a more sustainable, healthy, and humane food system by giving consumers products that require no sacrifice, that just happen to be made from plants. And right, we talk about sustainable, healthy, ethical. It's plant-based products use fewer resources like land, water, and greenhouse gas emissions. Plant-based products can be healthier. And then from an ethics perspective, there's the involvement of the animal food system, which you can subvert by relying on plants as the medium for creating these products versus animals. And that's exactly what we did, right? So we set out to really replace dairy. And there's a big distinction here between the word replacement and substitute, right? Because veggie burgers, for example, have existed for a really long time, right? You have your Gardein veggie burger, your Morningstar veggie burger, and that was always a substitute, but it was never a replacement. You wouldn't, as a meat eater, say, I'm going to replace my my hamburger today with a Morningstar burger. That's not the same thing. But what we're seeing is that Beyond Meat has shown us, and Impossible Foods have shown us, that if a product is similar enough, then meat eaters will do that. And in fact, like I said, 94% of the consumers of Beyond Meat products are actually meat eaters. And so we looked at the dairy sector and we said, okay, well, there are a lot of substitutes in the dairy sector. There's oat milk, there's cashew ice cream, there's soy cheese, but none of these same things are truly something that a cheese lover or a dairy lover would want to use as a replacement. And yes, oat milk and non-dairy milks have pretty good household penetration, about 18%. But what Eclipse is doing is really creating products for that remaining 82% who are not sold. And that's exactly what we're doing. And the way we're doing that, and I won't dive too deep into the science, but since I have people here that know food, then we can nerd out on this. So how we're doing that is we've created a milk. And our milk functions just like a dairy milk. And that's the magic of what makes Eclipse different than any other company out there, is that we actually use a milk from plants to create dairy products like dairy products are made. So we make cheese like cheese is made, ice cream like ice cream is made, sour cream like sour cream is made, any dairy product. And the reason, for all of you who know food science, right, the reason why this is so important is because the process for creating dairy products is actually extremely important in the impact on the taste, texture, and functionality of that dairy product. So what we get is, using our milk, we get plant-based products that have the taste, texture, and functionality that are indistinguishable from animal dairy. And so that's how we're making this true dairy replacement. And the sciences behind it is pretty interesting. So we use simple plants, oat, potato, cassava, and corn. And we actually looked at milk on a molecular level, and we said, how can we use these simple plants to really reverse engineer the functionality of milk. And what we found out is that micelles, and that's what you see here on the slide, are what give milk this amazing functionality to go from a liquid to a semi-solid, which is like a cream, to a solid, which is a cheese. And we said, okay, we need micelles, spherical micelles specifically within our milk. And so that's exactly what we did. We created the first ever plant-based milk that actually has spherical micelles. So they have these hydrophobic tails. And so basically they want to stay in the spherical shape, and they're very, very stable. They, even when they break apart, they stay as spheres. And yeah, so that's what allows them to really encapsulate the fat, and it's basically an emulsion. And dairy is an emulsion, and we figured out how to do that with milk. So let me get out of the weeds here. What that's allowed us to do is really create, like I said, nearly any dairy product. So there you have some photos of ice cream that we've made, of course, the milk, different types of cream cheeses and sour creams. There in the back, we even made a Humboldt Fog and a Camembert. And this is all from that same milk and the same process that you would take to create these dairy products. So it's very, very exciting. But of course, we're a small startup, and we said, okay, we can't begin with everything. Let's start with something that's really going to win hearts and minds. And what we thought is that if you really want to make a change in the food system, you need to make it emotional, because in the end, it's all about eating. Consumers are emotional. So how can we actually change the food system? Let's make it emotional. Let's start with ice cream. Why? It's really a passion product. You know, the smell of the waffle cone, the sound of the ice cream truck, the taste of that indulgent treat that really reminds you of childhood, of that timeless and nostalgic experience of summer. So we said we need to start with ice cream. A few other reasons, which are, in my mind, always entertaining, is that you don't have a lot of products that people are so fanatical about that they would wait outside in freezing cold weather for, other than ice cream, maybe beer also. But the wonderful, like, passionate love for ice cream is something that really can help us build a brand. And so that's what we did, is we created an ice cream that makes the promise that is the core of Eclipse's promise, is no sacrifice. It's something that tastes just like dairy and functions like dairy. And so on the front page of CNN, they said that our ice cream is indistinguishable from the dairy version. San Francisco Chronicle said it tastes just like dairy. The Washington Post said it's the elegant dessert as velvety as Jason Momoa's pink Oscar tuxedo. So not only is it a tasty product, but it's also a fun product, and that's the whole point. And then we also wanted to make sure that it wasn't just the press who was excited about it, but people as well. So we did a blind taste test. And in a blind taste test, people preferred Eclipse. So we worked with a UC Berkeley professor to conduct 100-person blind taste tests, which compared Eclipse's chocolate ice cream versus the best-selling dairy chocolate ice cream in the US. That is Breyers, if that's a question that was on your mind. And the results were incredibly encouraging. So 73% of people in this blind taste test found that Eclipse's chocolate ice cream was actually creamier, the plant-based version, than the best-selling chocolate dairy ice cream. And then maybe even more encouraging is that 53% of people preferred Eclipse as much, if not more, than the best-selling chocolate ice cream in the US. And again, we haven't been working on this ice cream for years and years and years. This is the first iteration. It's only going to get better. So we're very, very excited for those results. And how we make it is we go for simple ingredients. So we are non-GMO. This is a product that is created by my co-founder, who is a Michelin star chef turned product developer. We're crafted in a kitchen. This is not a lab product. However, we use really sophisticated gastronomy to create this blend of plants that comes together to create the ice cream made from corn, potato, oat, cassava. We have nothing against wheat, nothing against soy, nothing against nuts. We just didn't need to use them in our product. And so we're able to create a product that is free from the top common allergens. Of course, as we create a lot of different flavors and inclusions and things like that, then we have different ingredients, plant-based ingredients that go into our product. So always important to check the label, right, before assuming, okay, this is allergen-free. It's also a clean product in terms of ingredients, so we don't use gums, gels, stabilizers, antibiotics, etc. If any of you are ice cream makers here, you will know that no gums, gels, stabilizers in an ice cream is really hard. And that's really the magic of understanding plant proteins in such a way that we can actually use them to take out some of the things that people don't really want to be eating. And then, most importantly, the product, it's the real dairy taste. This is not a sorbet. It's not coconut. There's no nut or oat flavors. This is really ice cream that happens to be made from plants. And so to bring this product to the market, we said, let's partner with the best of the best. So we launched with Humphrey Slocum and Oddfellows. Then we kind of ramped up in terms of the size of our partners. We were available, Google's campus right now is not open, but we're available at Google, currently available at Cream, which is nationwide ice cream sandwich chain. Afters, which is a 30-location chain in Los Angeles, the Museum of Ice Cream, if you're familiar with that. And really all of this food service, what it did is it proved that the best of the best in ice cream actually love this product, and it validates our claims that it is something special. We actually won the FABI Award, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a prestigious award for the best products in food service. So that was in our first few months in market, we were able to win an award that really it's reserved for the biggest companies out there, right? Like the biggest food companies are the ones winning this award, and then also the most innovative, such as your Beyonds and your Impossibles and things like that. And yeah, we use this food service presence not only to validate our product and the functionality of the product, but it's also to help in expanding retail support for the markets that we're in. And so this summer, we really wanted to take that validation step to the next level, and we said, who is the toughest critic out there? It's probably chefs, and probably the highest end chefs in the world. And so this summer, we actually are partnering with some of the best chefs in the nation, 21 chefs total, to create collaboration flavors, which they work with us to create the flavor using our ice cream base. So this is like a liquid ice cream base that's used for food service. And then we create that flavor together, and then we actually sell that flavor. And the proceeds go to charity of the chef's choice. So ice cream for good, which is really nice. So some of the chefs that we're working with, Michael Tusk of Quince, that's a 3 Michelin star restaurant. Ken Oringer of Little Donkey in Boston. He's a James Beard Award winner and a legendary chef up there. And Leah Cohen of Pig and Cow, Rising Star chef winner. So really, we have all the way from rising stars to established Michelin star folks. And that's been extremely fun, and the flavors are very, very inventive. They've been really fun to make. And so we look at that, and obviously a lot of good early traction with this ice cream, but we say that really the vision is so much bigger, right? Ice cream is just the beginning. We're here to transform the entire food system, and the entire food system is made up of not just ice cream, it's the entire dairy sector and then beyond. But looking at dairy, really we have our milk as the base that will create all of these different products that will be available in retail, food service, and everywhere in between. And I can talk about where that in between is in just a second. But I think the interesting question is, okay, like we have a roadmap for how to transform the food system, but what about the existing players, right? What about the dairy sector? And we are not here to disrupt and say, oh, we don't want to work with anyone that has anything to do with dairy, because not at all. In fact, we think that what we're doing is best to work with the dairy sector to get it to move, both from distribution, which is obvious, but also from production, right? Because our milk functions like dairy milk, and so we create our ice cream on dairy lines. And as we all know, there's a lot of open capacity right now on a lot of dairy lines and dairy facilities. And so we're thinking, great, like we can come in and we can run on those same lines, and all we're really changing is the input. but the process from the input onward has a lot of similarities. And we think that not only in that partnership can we bring in existing consumers to consume more dairy or alt dairy, but we can actually bring in more consumers that even exist, which I think is a rising tide. So because our Eclipse-based plant-based dairy is free from common allergens, it can also bring in more consumers. So we provide a product that is free from not just top allergens in plants, but also top allergens in animal products as well, right? There's no eggs and no dairy in this product. And as we know, 65% of the world's population is lactose intolerant. And there's a 50% rise in food allergy prevalence in children. And so we think instead of now going towards 35% of the world's population, which can handle dairy, we're actually opening it much bigger. And so I think if we can look at it in a more holistic view of let's all bring together these consumers, these eaters, and get them to eat the products that are dairy and either happen to be made from plants or from animals, then we have a much bigger pie that we're looking at. And we want to work collaboratively in that way. And this really big vision of changing the food system, bringing in more consumers, has gotten a lot of amazing people really excited. And so some of our investors include Y Combinator. If you're familiar with them, they've been called the Harvard of startups. They are the world's most prestigious tech accelerator. Seth Goldman, if you've heard his name, he's the chairman of Beyond Meat, also the founder of Honest Tea. Alexis Ohanian is the founder of Reddit. Eric Patel, a former executive at Dreyer's, or Dreyer's rather, and then Paul Buchheit, the guy who created Gmail. So really an eclectic group of folks, and in addition to some of the venture capital folks that we have on board. And it's been great to get to work with them and their experience in our industry and in other industries. It's really a perfect combination. So if you want to try Eclipse, this is the other channel that we talked about. It's actually available directly to your door. So you can go to shop.eclipsefoods.com and you can order pints and try the ice cream and let us know if you think that it's actually indistinguishable or not. That's always the fun challenge. We've had some people prank their parents and their grandparents and have them try the ice cream and try to guess. And people don't, unless they're prompted, they don't actually usually know. So yeah, you can try it out for yourself. And then if you're social media inclined, you can follow us at Eclipse Foods on Instagram. And we are very available to communicate through that channel, and really excited to, for you to know about the brand. So that's what I got.
Thanks so much, Elon. This has been really fun. And I gotta say, I love the branding, and I'm really excited to try the product. For anybody who's in the audience today, you can feel free to start jumping in sort of this Q&A portion. Probably the best way to go about this is to type a question into the Q&A box, and I'll go ahead and fire away as the questions come in. But while they do that, I'll kick things off here. You know, the claims you're able to make are really amazing. I mean, when we think about plant-based, really, cheese seems to be a challenge. It always seems like there's some sort of shortcomings. So it's really awesome that you guys have been able to achieve what sounds like a really high quality product. In the course of the development, you know, what's been the hardest part to get right? Has it been texture? Has it been flavor? What was sort of obviously you seem to have solved the micelle problem, which is already a key part there. So in that process, what was the hardest part to get through?
Yeah, definitely. From a product development perspective, the hardest part for us actually has just been the aging process, because we're less than 2 years old as a company, and many cheeses have to age longer than 2 years to even be called the cheese that they are, right?
Right.
I mean, Parmesan today, the standard of identity has been reduced thanks to Kraft, or due to Kraft, however you want to frame it. But it used to be a lot longer, right? And so a lot of these older cheeses, we don't have a cheese cave. Like that is to the quality of these craft cheeses, or rather these artisanal cheeses. So that's been challenging, and on a bigger picture, like texture is the most challenging thing. Flavor you can kind of get there, and so that's why we're super excited when we see feedback like 73% of people saying that we're creamier than dairy ice cream. That is the true accomplishment.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's a comment, because when I think about Breyers specifically, I mean, Breyers has a very distinct ice cream texture, even very different from like a Haagen-Dazs or a Ben and Jerry's. So it's extremely creamy, because I feel like creaminess is kind of what Breyers prides themselves on anyway. So that's interesting. I guess a couple other questions from the audience. I'll just sort of read them as they come in. One, what is the fat content of the ice cream?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And if you're familiar with ice cream, that question is actually, it means a lot about the product, because in ice cream, basically anything 16% and above is considered super premium. 14 to 16, I believe it's 14 to 16 is considered premium, and then below 13 or below 12 is like your conventional ice cream. So we're actually at about 16% there, which makes this technically a super premium product. But we're not trying to price it super premium. We want the price to be in line with what you would pay for a conventional product. And as we scale, absolutely going head to head in terms of price. And that's something that we can achieve, because in the end, because we're not using animals, we don't really have to go through that whole system inefficiencies of using an animal. And so we're able to source directly from plants. And so at scale, we can actually undercut the prices of conventional dairy. But that's a whole different conversation.
Well, kind of on a similar thread, there's another one from the audience that we had. So the first question that we had was, what do you expect to be the next product after ice cream, and when can they expect to see that in market?
Yeah, it's a good question that we don't have the final answer to right now. And the reason is partially because we are wanting to listen to the market and kind of hear what folks are wanting before we commit to a final, okay, this is what's next. And I'll give you an example. We have some of the biggest food companies in the world coming to us and saying, hey, can you develop this type of product for us? Or can we collaborate to use your base to develop this type of product? And at the same time, we have consumers saying, and I think this is no surprise, hey, I'm still waiting for a good vegan cheese. What's going on here? Because no one has cracked that nut yet. And I'm a vegan myself, and so I can tell you I've tried them all, and I think there's still a ways to go for a cheese product that truly is indistinguishable from its animal counterpart. So it kind of depends where the market goes, but I think in the next 5 years, I can tell you can expect to see basically every major dairy product.
Interesting. The next couple of questions we have are kind of around, I'm going to try and combine them together because they're both around price point. And I think fundamentally what people are trying to get at is, it seems like you're in a premium market right now, and potentially a niche market. How do you see, I guess, where do you see price going? And do you see a capacity by which to get price down? And do you see this becoming a wider spread product? And if so, sort of how do you get out of that initial niche?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would push back and say that I don't think the product or branding is particularly niche, and nor is the distribution channels. Right now, yes, we're targeting more high end and more natural channel, just because it signals quality and it makes this an aspirational product, similar to how Tesla went out with a really expensive, really nice car, but really it's, in the end, it's about delivering a product that is, or a vehicle that is accessible to the masses and is desired by the masses. Mm-hmm. So certainly the beginning is framed that way, but the product itself is just ice cream, right? Anyone can enjoy ice cream. So really it comes down to distribution. I think once we're in every Walmart, once we're available kind of everywhere, then the product becomes very non-niche. the price point right now is per pint is $6.99 in retail, which is somewhere in between like your conventionals, which
Right.
are around $5, and your really expensives, which are $9 and above, right?
Mhm.
So as we scale, we our models basically show that we will be able to achieve economies of scale that allow us to undercut the price per gallon of our ice cream, undercut dairy within 2 years. So that's exciting from a perspective of, okay, what can we do with pricing? What can we do with margins? How can we have higher margins than a commodity product? And yeah, those are all things that get us excited.
Yeah, yeah, no, that means it's great that you've already. I mean, I think about $6.99 is a price per pint, and like, I mean, depending on what you're looking for, yeah, you certainly can find something that's more expensive than $6.99, depending on where you're looking. Um, the next question is around business models. Do you always anticipate being a B2B and a B2C company?
Yeah, I mean the story was that we were B2B, so selling directly to food service. We have 5 SKUs that go to food service. We have 3 liquid mixes. So we have our neutral liquid base, which is basically like a sweet cream, which ice cream shops and high-end chefs would spin up to create their own ice cream. We have a chocolate and vanilla base, which burger shops were using. Like Google would take that and pour that straight into their soft serve machines, or
Right.
burger shops would do that. And then we had frozen tubs of chocolate and vanilla for folks who wanted to do milkshakes, also burger shops, things like that. So initially we were exclusively going to food service. Just again, it's a really amazing place to build brand equity in a capital efficient way because people are paying you to advertise your product on their menu,
Right.
basically. That was great. It was going really well. And then COVID happened and food service really got shaken up. And we said, okay, well, we got to find some other channels here. Because with Eclipse, tasting is believing. And we got to make this product accessible to people to really win their hearts. And so we launched our national shipping on shop.eclipsefoods.com to allow people to, like, exactly D2C, buy the product. And then also we launched in retail, which is obviously, I mean, sort of a hybrid model because you are selling to a business, but in
Right.
the end, going to the consumer. In the long run, I think the picture is even broader than that, because retail is not going away, direct to consumer is not going away, food service is not going away. But with these really big companies that are coming to us and saying, hey, we want to be your partner in developing the next XYZ plant-based version of our name brand product, those sorts of conversations we haven't started yet, and that channel is like a completely different channel.
Sure. Sure. Okay. I guess on a similar, this is sort of a shorter one, but so with that, with partnerships with stores like Humphrey Slocum and Afters, are you expecting those to be long-term or short-term offers? Are they kind of promotional, or are those going to be long-term collaborations?
Yeah, it's a good question. With Afters, it's absolutely a long-term thing. I mean, if you know the world of food service, switching out an entire product is usually not that easy if you have a 30 store chain that you're running in, and we're only getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And in terms of the folks that we work with, so similar to how Carl's Jr. still has the Beyond Star and Burger King still has the Impossible Whopper, and those seem to be lasting long-term partnerships that add value to both parties. That's absolutely the vision for all of our partnerships.
Got it. Okay. At present, who do you see to be your biggest competitor? And I feel like with that, there's a comment. Sort of, there's a lot of plant-based and dairy alternative startups today. So, sort of, how do you size up that competition?
Yeah, I think basically for the ice cream, it really is all ice cream can be looked at as competition. I think Oatly has done a really good job in rolling out their ice cream products through distribution. I would say Eclipse is, and we've done a lot of taste tests. Eclipse is really, really the only product out there that taste like dairy. And so it puts us in an interesting place where it's like, yeah, we're competing for mind share with the plant-based, but we're also competing for just a mom saying, all right, which vanilla ice cream do I want to buy for my kid's birthday? And at the point where the Eclipse vanilla pint tastes like vanilla and is essentially the same, then the other, like the conventional products, are now being considered as well in that purchasing decision.
Got it. Okay. Developing shelf-stable, non-refrigerated products?
Okay. If the person who asked that question knows how to do that, we should talk after. It's not easy, as you know. We're absolutely working on it. Oh, sorry for the noise in the background here. We're absolutely working on it. And yeah, I know that from a food service perspective, that would be really powerful. And so it's something that is in the pipeline for sure.
Okay. I guess last year, where can the product be found in retail today?
So we're available in San Francisco in a few locations, and rolling out in a bunch more in the coming months. Yeah. So the Market is one of them. The Marina Supermarket is another. Those are all like local San Francisco spots. Yeah. And then a lot more announcements to come. And that's, if you follow the Instagram page at Eclipse Foods, we make all those announcements there.
And I guess there's one more here. Do you have any plans in going international, and are there any particular markets that look attractive to you on an international basis?
Yes. So the international plans are obviously not immediate. We're just rolling out retail right now here in the US. But the Asian market is obviously huge because I think the number is that more than 90% of people of Asian heritage are lactose intolerant or lactose sensitive.
Yeah.
So that's already a big opportunity right off the bat. But yeah, I think the international thing is we'll opportunistically take it as it comes, but not push for it towards it for a while.
Great. Well, I guess the last question we have for you is, what can the audience do to help you the most here? What kinds of talent are you looking for? What kinds of connections are you looking for? Expertise, etc. What would be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very generous question of you. I appreciate it. I think in terms of helping Eclipse, first and foremost, just getting the word out, letting the world know. It truly is tasting is believing with this product, and so we as many people who are able to taste it, the better, and who can tell their friends to taste it. And then the other thing is, in terms of talent, we're hiring like a head of sales from a retail sales perspective, and we're always looking for extremely talented product developers and operations people. So we're growing very, very fast. And so really, if you know of like a top person that you've worked with in the food world that even if they're not looking for a position, we're happy to have them on our radar.
Excellent. Well, Elon, thank you so much. And congratulations on all the progress to date. Really exciting story, and really exciting to see a great product like this that's available not only in fun stores in San Francisco, but also that you can actually get delivered to your door, which is fantastic. And thank you to the audience today for your active participation. Just to let everybody know, we host these calls every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central. Again, this month's theme is dairy alternatives. So a really exciting lineup we've got this month. You can register for Agri-Food Conversations for the entire webinar series by going to agrifoodconversations.com. And if you know somebody who'd like to watch this webinar, feel free to share it with them. A replay of the webinar will be emailed to you in the next 24 hours, which you could either just forward to them or they can sign up for the webinar at agrifoodconversations.com. Otherwise, everyone have a great rest of your Thursday. Elon, thank you so much. Thank you so much to our audience, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you all. It was great.